being so much
this
more
virus
deadly
as a political weapon against the president.
We are experiencing a global wake-up call, and the day after a blackout, we spoke to music experts to hear their thoughts on systemic racism, the future of music, and the fact that music impacts everything. Here's what they had to say.
Okay, bueno, gracias. Thank you for being here. Can you please just tell me your full name and your title, whatever you want to be known as?
My name is Malcolm Xavier Whitfield, but I can go by the DJ name Malcolm Xavier.
My name's Roxana Maldovin. I'm a director, mainly of music videos. And you can call me Roxy if you'd like.
My name is Mark Elibert. I'm a freelance writer. I have bylines with Billboard, Vibe, XXL, and HipHopDX.
So my name is Angelo Torres. I'm an artist manager and A&R for many producers and songwriters in the Latin world.
So what do you think the role is for the music industry in social change?
It's a huge role because music speaks volumes. Music gives voice to people who don't have a voice. You know, even when you look at historical times, music was a voice for the slaves who were enslaved by their slave masters, and they used music as a way to express themselves. I think the music industry does have a large role, plays a very pivotal role in social change. I just don't think they I don't think the higher ups fully understand how important that role is. The artists and the consumers are the ones who understand it. We just have to get the higher ups to understand it.
What is the impact of the music industry on society?
The impact of the music industry on society is honestly everything, because, you know, I feel like our society is a sponge, right? And music is the water that fuels that sponge every day. People definitely get very influenced from music all the time, even if they don't necessarily understand what they're even listening to. They're like, oh, I want that jewelry, or, you know, I want this. And so right now is a time for musicians to, you know, maybe step away from like that like superficial material things and instead go towards like more like the Kendrick Lamar route, which is like, you know, let's be revolutionary right now.
I think this moment has just sparked something in the artists that ultimately drive these music industry labels or publishers or stuff like that. And you know, the artists are speaking up and they're calling to their faces, like, hey, you guys monetize our blackness, so much money, billions and billions of dollars throughout history. And, you know, the least you could do is be a part of this movement that definitely just tells the world that you are supporting the artists that you make money from.
So as a music journalist, can you maybe shine a light for everybody on maybe what systemic issues are seen in the music industry in itself?
Oh, there's a whole bunch. I mean, we can go from how these labels are giving these artists 360 deals and not even giving them a fair cut of their money. You can talk about how these artists have to go on tour to make their money, which I believe is messed up, because that's kind of like you're making these people tap dance to earn their money when they should be getting money off of their music, not just touring. There's issues even in music journalism. A lot of these outlets recently fired a lot of Black journalists when it was like, yo, these people are the pulse of your outlet.
Like wait, I fade away, I pray today, cause life is crazy.
To sum up what that influential power the music industry has, or that potential?
I think that music definitely shapes our youth, and then our youth in turn shapes the world, the future of the world, right? And so I think it's so important for artists to just be aware of that, of like the way that they can affect future generations, you know?
Going forward, we need to continue to have those conversations, to continue to have outreach. That's not, you know, I think a donation is great, but, you know, if we are making programs to, you know, enrich students, to enrich communities, to create programs, so, you know, like these underserved communities that are supporting and listening to the music have opportunities to grow and grow out of their communities in which they probably don't have the resources, or continue to put those resources there. So maybe they don't have to move, but just give them an option other than just being able to just sit at home and just watch the videos on YouTube all day.
Do you think the music industry is going to step into its power to recognize that all their money comes from Black culture?
Things like that where like the music industry can't hide behind things anymore. And I think that artists are definitely going to start to boycott and like put people on blast and stuff. So I think that the music industry has to stand up, because if they don't stand up, artists are going to, you know, create their own lanes, right? And the fans are not going to follow the labels. The fans are going to follow the artists that they love.
I think hip hop is now the world's biggest streaming genre of music. Before that was rock and roll, and technically both of those are Black created genre of music. But hip hop definitely is, and I think for the industry to know and understand how big Black culture has been to creating both of these genres, they definitely have to take the time to give back and dig back in to those communities that have built those artists and those genres all the way up. I definitely think that's necessary at this point.
I hope that because of this, you know, these higher ups and these dudes in these offices can see that, you know, Black culture isn't something that you could just exploit. Black culture is something that you have to big up and salute to, because if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the culture, you wouldn't be sitting in your office right now. A lot of these labels would not have these artists making them so much money if it wasn't for Black culture. The music industry has been profiting off of Black culture for years. You know what I mean? So now when it's time, when it's time to step up, it's like, all right, cool. You put a little Black square up, but what's next? How else are we going to be helping the culture that we profit off of so much?
Companies that, like I said again, they make so much money out of Blackness and out of being Latino and they make billions of dollars, and the least they can do is try to find ways so they can fund social programs to make this world a better place for all of us, and especially the Black community that has suffered so much oppression throughout, you know, history of the whole history of the United States.
Final questions for you. Do you think the music industry has the power to change America?
I think the music industry does have a ton of power. If we have the power to get everybody to dance on TikTok all day, we should have the power to create all types of change.
Hell yeah, they do. Again, the music industry is the pulse of culture. It creates dreams. It opens doors for people. Without music, American culture would be boring. It can change America as long as we just keep pushing it forward and keep putting these people's backs against the wall. Like, yo, so what's up? What we gonna do?
Music has so much power. It drives so many emotions, and plus the artists have so much recognition and strength in social media and in just being present anyway. There's a clear path and everybody's down. Definitely there could be a global change, not just, you know, in the country.
So let's talk about artistic expression, and let's talk about maybe some of the things that are going to come out of this. What do you think is going to come out of not only COVID-19, but now this social uprising?
I think that you have an artistic duty to recognize that, you know, people are coming to you to heal. People are coming to your music, you know, to realize they're not alone. And so I hope that more artists do take this time to be like, hey, let me talk about real experiences that have shaped me and the real experiences that are like why I am where I am. I hope that this experience like humbles people to make music that's more touching on the human experience that we all experience together.
There's not a ton of music on how to deal with a global pandemic and also social justice at the same time. But I think there has to be a avenue for artists to create more songs about social justice and they be widely accepted. And it's not just this niche lane. There needs to be more songs about how to deal with anxiety that a lot of people are dealing with COVID-19. These songs can actually become hits and they can become things that we can all connect on.
Kanye West showing up, marching for a short time with these demonstrators. He did not speak to
What is your suggestion for the next steps and next actions for the music industry to do in solidarity with this social movement?
Streaming platforms have to give these artists more money than what they're giving them. I think they get like 0.00 8 whatever percentages of their streams. That's crazy, because I think that's like what, like 5 cents per stream or something. Come on, have to rework these contracts and stop enslaving these artists and taking money from them, because you're basically exploiting these people, exploiting their talent. And and that's why some of these artists go through mental health issues, and some of these artists end up taking themselves out because they're dealing with the pressure.
But I think going forward is we have to be more proactive before these issues happen, and we can't just wait until it happens to start to say, oh, okay, now is the time. So I think the industry needs to continue to have these conversations with label heads, and label heads also need to talk to their artists about how to handle these situations correctly and how to make sure that the communities that you're making music for, whether you're a Black artist or a white artist or a Latino artist, if you're making music for that community, you need to stand up and be behind that community when things like this happen. And I think there needs to be a lot of education from the label side, and artists just holding each other accountable as well.
More of your voice out there, and seeing you share all that amazing mind you have.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to see it as well. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and stay safe and have a great rest of your day.
Yes, you as well.
Okay, bye.
She's dope.
Right?
She's dope.